Welcome back to the rest of the story. Well, it's been raining the last day or two here, but I'd figure I'd at least talk over this video. Seems how I already got it recorded. The bin isn't full, but at least it's full enough that we can go ahead and start drying the corn down in it. We got the stirrator running, we got the fan and the heat both running on it. Stirrator works a lot better than the one in our 10,000 bushel bin by a mile. The one that is in this 20,000 bushel bin, I think, is a stirrite, and we've had issues with it. I'm not going to go so far to say that it's been completely problem free, but the problems we've had with it have typically been just like electrical issues, and not even terrible electrical issues. Like the one this fall, before we really had it full, we noticed that the stirrator wasn't running around on the ring around the bin. And once the corn got full enough where I could get up and work on it, it turns out that the wire that controlled the motor that is on the outside ring that allows it to run pulled out of the power box. So little bitty wires is all that they really were. So all I did is take a needle nose pliers and shove them back in, and it was back to running normally again. So a 5-minute fix is a-okay in my book. This auger that we're running here, if you noticed, I started it slow at first, and then once I got corn running through it, I went ahead and opened everything back up. Started the tractor at about 1,000 RPMs, and then once corn was already running through the length of the auger, I revved the tractor up to about 1,500 RPMs, maybe just a little bit under it, and I opened up the door on the wagon and got the sweep full of corn. Now if you notice, maybe you can't from here, on the left side of the sweep there, on the farther side away from the wagon, is where the best place is to dump corn into, because the way the auger is spinning, it pulls the corn up into the auger a lot more efficiently. If you dump it on the back side or to the right of the sweep there, what it does is it actually slows me down a little bit, because it's not readily able to pull the corn up in through the auger. It's one of those little things you kind of notice when you're running this machinery. But overall, as far as hauling this corn, even for how well the stuff was yielding, I'm running from my place up to Rockville, unloading and heading back home, or at least back down to where I live. I was able to keep up with Dad and Ryan really, really well. 600 bushel grain cart really makes a big difference there. The cart was never really full whenever I came back down to make another trip, and that's basically what we want to do. I mean, I am being able to keep up with Dad and Ryan, and even though a tractor and a wagon isn't 100% efficient like everybody likes to point out, it does get the job done. And the fact that they're not sitting around waiting for me is even better. Over the years, we went from, what did we have, like a 200 bushel grain wagon all the way up to this 500 bushel. Big difference. It's a lot nicer being able to haul a lot more corn on less trips, don't get me wrong. But yeah, semi, I mean, at least we're getting away with not exclusively needing a semi just yet. So out of all three of us, Dad's harvesting, Ryan's running the grain cart, and I'm running this. This is the job that I like doing out of the three. I really don't mind hauling corn up and down the road. I mean, cars really don't bother me. I mean, you just kind of swerve like you're drunk, and cars will respect you. I mean, you'll even have cars in the other side of the road go onto the gravel to get away from you. So, really not too worried about the traffic. We don't have too many terrible instances with other drivers up here. The worst are typically with semis, because they can't quite slow down fast enough when you start to go for a turn. Other than that, I really don't have that many issues. Ryan actually has the gravy job out of the three, because running the grain cart really isn't all that hard to do, and it's actually more of a laid back job. As long as you keep the combine running, you're set. You never have to get out of the tractor, and as long as everybody is moving, either between the wagon is staying loaded or the combine is staying unloaded, I mean it's a pretty easy day. So as far as harvest goes, running the combine, I mean this is all Dad's corn. Um, that's why we're dumping it into a bin. But then as far as running out my corn or even Ryan's corn, I plan on running the combine through my own crops. The big reason for that is when you go through all the work of planting it, paying for it, and watching it grow all summer, it is kind of nice to be able to harvest it yourself and see how it is yielding through the combine. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of a see what all that work was really worth at the end of the year. I mean, that's what harvest is in the end. It's basically seeing how much all your work was all year long and how much it actually is valued. So, the way the weather is looking, it sounds like all next week it's going to rain. Yet we are very saturated. the The ground can't really take in any more rain. So, as far as doing much or selling much corn in October myself, I don't know if I'm really going to. The way it's looking, if I can get my soybeans out in October and then focus on getting my corn out in November, that's probably my game plan right now. Just because uh, they are literally saying rain until about the 15th of October. I don't know if the weather is going to break long enough that maybe we can run out a few thousand bushels here, but all it does is it hopefully will dry the corn out that much more towards the end of harvest. Now, let's see here. Oh yeah, 10 minutes. I think this video is real time, by the way. So it takes about 10 minutes to unload this. I typically run it at capacity. I'm not running it as hard as I could because, like I just said, I mean, I'm keeping ahead of Dad and Ryan, and I'm basically just jogging. I'm really not running as hard as I could. And we did have our first significant frost here this past week. It was down in the 30s. No, it was down to 28. And that's a big change going from 70-degree weather down to freezing weather. And they are saying we're supposed to get up to like the 80s here before too terrible long, at least for a day or two. But it is October now, and seems how summer is in the rearview mirror. I mean, any warm days we get from here on out, you gotta enjoy them while you can. Now, you're gonna notice as this wagon is getting pretty well empty. The wagon, I don't think you guys can really notice it, but it is tilted away from the auger and kind of towards the back. So this corn here on the back of the wagon isn't going to completely run out of the wagon, and I'm not going to go to the trouble of trying to pull it out or shake it out of the wagon, because with a little bit of corn that's still left in there, I'm not gaining much time or much on the grain cart as far as emptying out the last of it, because I can pretty well empty out the grain cart in one trip right now. Because like I said, the grain cart hasn't been sitting full, like running over the sides waiting for me to get back. I've been pretty good at being able to keep ahead of everybody. So it's a domino effect. If you're slow unloading corn here, or if you're slow here, everything gets backed up in the grain cart, because if the cart gets completely full, then I can't get it pretty well completely emptied out, and it just starts to back up all the way to the combine. So yeah, as long as you can keep a healthy pace on everybody else doing this job, hauling corn, it's really not that bad. And this is a job I always did growing up. Went from the 250 bushel easy trail to a Kill Brother box to that larger, was it easy trail, to this now. I mean, big differences over the years. So with that, take care, take it easy, keep in touch.